combining our sales message with that sales process to create sales scripts. And we're basically going to come back to those building blocks. The first thing I'm going to give you is a cold call script. And notice that I put in parentheses here, formal. The reason why I put this in formal is that this flow here I'm going to show you aligns more with our B2B formal cold call script. You're calling a prospect and you're using this script. What I'll show you next is more of an informal social script. So I know that what I'm going to show you now probably doesn't apply if you're calling up your brother-in-law. So let's just fly through this and then we'll come back to the social. So here's an introduction. Hello, Mary. This is Michael Halper. I'm with Company X. Have I caught you in the middle of anything? Great. The reason for the call is I help people that are working as employees. You can share any of these benefits. You can share one or two, depending on how long they are. Then you do a sales takeaway, but I'm not sure if you are interested in any of those, and that's why I'm reaching out. And then you try to ask some questions, and these questions are designed, find pain and find a reason to have a conversation. You could also ask some of your current state questions. The goal there is hopefully you ask some questions and find a reason to have a conversation on another day and close for the next step, which is to have that conversation. If you can't do that, you might want to share some pain points. Before you go for the close, to close them on a conversation, you probably want to share a little bit of detail about who you are and why you're calling. Again, this is the formal call script. Based on what you shared, it might make sense to talk in more detail. The reason why is, as I mentioned, I'm with Company X, and we provide a business opportunity to people that are working as full-time employees. It's basically a distributor of such and such product. It pays this commission. And so here are some of your product details. Then right before you go for the close, you can share your name drop example to build a little bit of interest. I recruited Tom. He was working as an accountant at the time. He felt like there was not enough career growth, and he signed up as a distributor, was able to create a second stream of income and pay off his house. And you're doing that right before you go for the close. But Mary, I've called you out of the blue. I don't know if this is the best time to discuss this. Are you available for a brief meeting? And you could share again some of your benefits here, and you close the call. So again, that's just a flow of how to organize that sales message and those building blocks into a formal cold call script. Now, I certainly know when you're doing multi-level marketing, who you're reaching out to first is your friends and family network. So you don't want to use that formal of a cold call script. So here's a more social cold call script that uses a lot of that same information. Hey, Tom, this is Mike. Have I caught you in the middle of anything? Oh, great. Hey, the reason why I'm reaching out is that I want to talk to you about something I'm working on. Are you free to get together for coffee or lunch? And this is where you're basically doing a quick close. Right out of the gate, you're trying to close for the next step of the process, which is the conversation. And so a couple thoughts here. One is you may have a better way of closing for that. This is nothing new to network marketing and people that do multi-level marketing. What I learned is that you want to be as vague as possible here, because if you get into detail here about, oh, it's a business opportunity and, help you and whatnot, your friend or your family member will, maybe try to avoid you. So you want to just focus on getting together with them in the conversation as quickly as possible in terms of sharing as little as information as possible without misleading them or being dishonest. And so that's what you want to do here. Now, below this section are the remainder of our building blocks, because at this point, Tom may have some questions where he may not agree to get together. So that's where if he asks questions, we could fall back to our other building blocks where he may say something like, well, what is it about? What are you working on? Or what is it? Tell me what it is before we agree to meet. Well, I'm working on something that helps people and here are your benefits and improvements. You're sharing a little bit of information with him, still trying to close him. If he's still not agreeing to meet, you could fall back to try to ask him some questions. Maybe your questions can find a reason why he might want to meet with you, or how you can help him, or why it makes sense to talk. Current state questions, pain points, product, and name drop examples. So these are almost exactly the same building blocks. It's just basically putting them in a different order. This is an example of how once you build your sales message and create those building blocks, it's real easy to move those around to create different scripts. For example, we can use those same building blocks to also create our meeting script. So let's say that we close either with the formal script or the social script, and now we're meeting with the person that we scheduled a lunch with or coffee with. It would be good to organize that meeting with some sort of structure, and we can use our building blocks for that. So here's an introduction. So, hey, how's your day going? You could talk about any recent event or weather or sports or whatnot. Where are you from? Maybe you know that already, but if you don't, And then the order here of building blocks has changed. So in the other script, we start out with our pain questions. Here, we're starting out with our current state questions because now we're in the meeting. We're sitting down, we have their attention, and we just want to learn more about them. What do you do? How long have you been doing that? And so I went through these questions earlier when I was talking about the sales message, but these are your current state questions. So this is where you're learning about what's going on. You could then continue on to ask more questions to find out if they have any pain points. Remember, I said the meeting and the conversation is 50-50, 50% on them and 50% on you. So these questions really help to make that first 50% on them. A great way to organize that is that, let's say you're getting together for 30 minutes or 60 minutes. The first half of that meeting is all about them. You're just asking questions, learning about them. You can maybe share some pain points, other people that you talk to. And then once you're ready to transition and talk about you've learned a lot about them. Oh, well, and then you can start to share some of the improvements that you helped to make. And here's your product details of how you helped to make those improvements. And here's an example of someone that you created those improvements for. And then you could go for the close. Now, I just threw some trial close questions here as a kind of a placeholder for closing. We have a full training module on how to close. So if you want more details on how to close at the end of the meeting, then be sure to check out that. But this is a way to organize those different building blocks. Those are your sales scripts that you could use. Now let's wrap up, which is talking about a few common objections that can come up in the world of MLM. And so the first one could be, I don't have time to meet. So this is one that would come up during the interaction. So you're trying to schedule that meeting, trying to get back together with that person. Let's say you cold call someone, hey, let's get together. And they say, oh, I just don't have time. Hey, no problem at all. We could get together down the road when your schedule lightens up. There's no rush. We could talk about this later. No big deal. And then you still try to close them by saying, what do you think about penciling something in down the road? So, hey, let's pencil something in maybe 2 months out. They might say, sure. And then you kind of leave it there. One thing about getting that soft close there is that when it's 2 months down the road, you have a reason to check back in with them. Hey, checking back in. We spoke 2 months ago. You said that, we would try to get together, and then you try to close again. That creates a reason to open the door back up down the road, except without just complying that they don't have time and then moving on completely. You also may get the objection that they don't have time regarding just doing the business opportunity. So, you go back to your benefits and say, I understand. Well, if we could, create these improvements, would that be able to give you a reason to make more time, or if would these benefits help you to change your work situation to where maybe you, at some point, if you were able to achieve all these things and create a second stream of income and a passive stream of income and start your own business, maybe you could leave your current job, and that would create more time, and not only for you to work on this business opportunity, but more time for you to do other things in your life other than work. Another objection is they might say, I can't afford this. That might refer to like the sign-up fees and the cost to join the business opportunity. And you could say something like, oh, I hear you. We often help to, and so this is going back to your value points building block. We often help to increase wealth by a second stream of income, recurring passive income stream, make it easier to start a business. If you could see these improvements, would that help you to justify finding the money or rounding up the money to invest in this particular area? Then, of course, as selling anything, you might run into objections of I'm not interested. Oh, I understand. If I could ask you real quick. And so this is going back to your pain questions. Now, if you've asked all these questions already, of course, you can't really go back and ask them again. But let's say that when you're asking your questions earlier, you did not ask, have you ever had any interest to start your own business or be your own boss? So let's say you skipped that question earlier and someone said, I'm not really interested in this. Oh, hey, I understand. But if I could ask you real quick, have you ever thought about starting your own business? And then they might say, well, yeah. Okay, well, and then you have the opportunity to ask a follow-up question. Well, when was that? What did you do? Well, what prevented you from moving forward? And so they might say something like, well, I didn't have an idea of what to start. Oh, well, see, that's what's great about this is this helps you to start your own business, and you don't have to have an idea. The idea is right here. All you have to do is invest the time and effort, and you basically can be your own boss. So that's an example there of they gave the objection of I'm not interested, and you deflected back to your pain questions and use that to find an opportunity with a follow-up question and then go back to the close.